Hi YouTube, TechMaster here. In this video, we'll explain the difference between 5G SA or 5G standalone and 5G NSA, which is non-standalone, and the speed differences between 5G and 4G LTE, and if there's a difference. Start off with 5G NSA, which is really common, which is non-standalone 5G built on an LTE network. Like, the 5G spectrum is built on top of 4G LTE networks, which means some uploads may use LTE and downloads can sometimes also fall back to LTE as well, which means if there is no LTE coverage in that area and 5G SA or standalone 5G is not available, you will not get any coverage if you have no LTE coverage. And with some LTE networks, there isn't any 5G gear built into it, which means sometimes you'll fall back to LTE. And 5G SA, on the other hand, is standalone 5G built right off the ground, no LTE spectrum built on it, which means faster performance, downloads and uploads all go through 5G NR, or new radio. Now let's move on to speed. 5G, low band 5G is similar to speeds on LTE, but it's a bit faster. Like, for example, LTE can get speeds of 50 megabits per second, and 5G low band can probably get double the speed at like 100 megabits per second if you're in an ideal location. But 5G low band is commonly used because it uses lower frequencies from 600 megahertz to around 1900 megahertz. And this is the same frequencies used by 4G LTE, so it can penetrate through buildings better. But speed is maxed out at around 250 to 225 megabits per second, or Mbps. Now let's move on to mid-band 5G, which is faster and boosts a lot of performance, but does not penetrate through as much walls and buildings. But if you're connected to mid-band, 5G is much faster. You get around 200 to around 400 and possibly 700 to 900 megabits per second. But in ideal situations, you'll get around 400 to 300 megabits per second on ideal locations indoors. You can get around 700 or above when you're outdoors or near a tower. If you live near a tower with mid-band 5G, you can get faster speeds like 600 or 500 Mbps. And the next thing we'll talk about is millimeterwave 5G, which is not really common because it only goes through like several buildings, and if you like move like one block, you already dropped to mid-band or low band, because millimeter wave does not go really far. The special antennas you see like on the streets, those are called millimeter wave 5G, but it's not commonly available. But with millimeter wave, you can get around 1.2 gigabits per second to around 2 gigabits per second, and recently you can get up to 5 or 4 gigabits per second, but not really anyone has access to it, like, unless you're in big cities like Seattle, California. In California, there's Los Angeles and San Francisco and New York cities and Portland. Those type of cities, you'll get it. You probably get millimeter wave 5G when you're in like downtown or like in city centers. In most city centers, you get millimeter wave 5G, but if you move like several buildings away or several blocks, you're not gonna get it. And in case you're wondering, millimeter wave 5G is only available in the US with iPhones, but I don't know about other phones, but it's not deployed in most areas. In the US, if you see anything like 5G UC or 5G Ultra Capacity on T-Mobile, you're connected to either mid-band or millimeter wave. On AT&T, if you're connected to 5G Plus, you're most likely on mid-band or millimeter wave. But most of the time you'll be in millimeter wave. Not millimeter wave, but low band, not low band, mid-band 5G. Low band is regular 5G with no plus, or with T-Mobile, it's also the same thing. If you're on regular 5G, you're on N71, low band 5G. On Verizon, if you have certain plans that support connecting to Ultra Wideband 5G, and if you see 5G UW or 5G Ultra Wideband, you're connected to mid-band or millimeter wave. But if you see regular 5G on all those three carriers, you're connected to low-band 5G. Frequencies used in the United States is N5, N2, and N71 for low-band 5G. Mid-band 5G, on the other hand, uses N77, 3.5 gigahertz, or 3.7 gigahertz. But for Verizon, sometimes you use 3.45 gigahertz, and some devices may not support that. With T-Mobile, you have N41, but that's the only frequency that provides 5G Ultra Capacity mid-band 5G, which is available in most locations, including small cities and big cities. And with millimeter wave 5G, there is only several bands available, which is N258 and N261 and N260. Those are used by all three carriers, T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon, but it's often only available in city centers. If you have enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and see you next time.